Why APRO is trying to solve a problem crypto still pretends is simple. In crypto, we love to talk about decentralization as if it were a settled matter. It isn't. Nowhere is that more obvious than in oracles, the quiet infrastructure that decides whether smart contracts interact with reality or with something far less reliable. APRO Oracle, operating under the APRO banner and tied to the AT ecosystem, has positioned itself as a corrective force in this fragile corner of the stack. In my view, that ambition alone warrants careful scrutiny. Not applause, but scrutiny all the same. At its core, APRO is trying to address a flaw the industry still tiptoes around: dependence on external data sources that are either weakly decentralized or economically brittle. Price feeds, event verification, and off-chain signals remain the soft underbelly of otherwise sophisticated protocols. APRO's thesis is simple on paper: spread data verification across a wider validator set, enforce economic accountability, and reduce the single points of failure that have burned DeFi before. But theory, as we've learned, rarely survives first contact with live markets, architecture, incentives, and what APRO actually brings to the table. After reviewing APRO's public documentation and technical disclosures, what stood out to me was its emphasis on accountability over raw speed. That's a subtle but meaningful choice. Many Oracle networks optimize for low latency and throughput, sometimes at the cost of robust dispute resolution. APRO, by contrast, leans into layered validation, with multiple data providers submitting feeds that are cross-checked through an incentive-weighted consensus process. I believe the real value proposition here isn't novelty. Its disciplined APRO isn't promising miracles or instant dominance. It's promising fewer silent failures. The AT token sits at the center of this design, acting as both a staking instrument and a penalty mechanism. Validators who submit inaccurate data aren't simply warned or ignored. They're economically punished. In theory, that aligns incentives cleanly. In practice, its effectiveness hinges on participation scale and token liquidity. What truly surprised me was APRO's focus on modular integration. Rather than forcing developers into a rigid framework, the protocol appears designed to plug into existing DeFi and data-driven applications with minimal friction. Early integrations cited by the project include experimental lending markets and synthetic asset platforms that require frequent price updates without relying on a single upstream source. Adoption is still limited, but the direction feels intentional. The competitive reality APRO cannot ignore. But let's be honest, APRO is not entering an empty arena. Chainlink, Pyth, and several newer entrants already dominate mindshare and developer trust. This, to me, is the key challenge. Oracles are notoriously sticky once embedded. Switching costs are social as much as they are technical. Developers tend to ask a blunt question: does this new Oracle fail less often than the one I already rely on? APRO's answer seems deliberately quiet. It's betting that transparent validation logic and stricter economic enforcement will matter more over time than brand recognition. And maybe they will. But is that enough to dominate the market or even secure a durable niche? I'm not convinced yet. The Oracle market rewards incumbents, and history suggests that superior design alone rarely triggers mass migration. Risks, hurdles, and the uncomfortable questions ahead. My personal take is that APRO's largest risk isn't technical. It's economic. Oracle security scales with the value it protects. If the total value secured by APRO remains modest, the cost of attacking its data layer may stay uncomfortably affordable. This chicken and egg problem has haunted Oracle projects for years, and APRO is no exception. There's also the question of governance. While APRO promotes decentralization, meaningful control still appears concentrated among early stakeholders and core operators. That's not unusual at this stage, but it complicates the narrative. Decentralization isn't a slogan, it's a measurable condition. And APRO will ultimately be judged on whether it relinquishes control as the network matures. Regulatory pressure, too, can't be ignored. Oracles sit at the intersection of finance and information. If data provision becomes regulated in key jurisdictions, projects like APRO may face compliance demands that reshape their validator models entirely. We must consider whether the protocol is flexible enough to survive that shift.